Hello. So I want to talk about my current theory of happiness. Um, I'm sure that I will have greater understandings of it as I go through this lifetime. I've been feeling very unhappy for the last 4 months or so. Really, all of winter has been tough for me, and I've been trying to understand how to fix it, how to be happy. And there's been periods of my life where I've been incredibly joyful and incredibly low. And what I have come to understand is that happiness is partly a biochemical experience and partly a spiritual experience. And I think that in both circumstances, there are factors that are and are not in our control. And I think it's important to recognize that. Because a lot of times when we aren't happy, we tend to blame ourselves or others, and it's hard to know how to get back to a state of balance. And I believe that happiness is a natural state of being, and it is a very balanced state of being. So in terms of the factors that we can't control, the biochemistry of it, we need sunlight. Sunlight is an incredibly important activator of our pineal gland, and the way that I've come to understand it is that there is a third eye in the center right here, not like as a mystical symbol, but a real physical thing, the pineal gland, which functions and has an eyelid. And the eyes, they receive light, and they therefore project our entire visual experience. Now, from all that, it's easy to kind of intuit that light is essential for our brains to function properly, and it is through the data of the sun that we know how to construct our reality. There are people who have lost this ability, but the light passes through them nonetheless. They just don't get the visual aspect of the entire process. So when it's sunny and gloomy and when the seasons change, that is not in our control. The earth will go through whatever changes need to happen, and that is the truth. There is not consistency behind this. And other than changing where you physically live, which most of the time is out of our control, there are a limited amount of solutions to this. I myself suffer from seasonal depression, so I know that it's a big deal. I haven't tried out any of those therapeutic lamps by myself, but I know that vitamin D3, which is a vitamin that is obtained from absorbing the sunlight, has a lot to do with mood regulation and happiness. So I take that and, it dulls it a little bit. But the point being is that the sun is an incredible force of happiness, and it's not always in our control when we have access to it. So when you do, try to get every moment of it. Go outside and let it shine on you and let it absorb into your spirit and your soul. Other things that are out of our control are really everyone else, all other human beings. And so if you find that other people are making you unhappy, it's complicated, but it's really not their fault. The only thing you can control is how you react to somebody. And someone who I follow called Unicron, she made a video about when your feelings are hurt, and she said that emotions are nothing else but how we perceive things. And I believe that that's a pretty mind-blowing statement. pretty revolutionary. But when you think about it, someone could call you stupid and you could perceive them as being funny and they're just joking around, and that's their style of humor, or you could perceive it as they're really mean and nasty. And which one's going to make you feel happy, right? So the trick of it is to perceive everything in a way that makes you feel happy. And you might make excuses like, well, that's not real and whatever, but you're creating your entire reality. So why not create a reality in which you're happy as a result of it? I'm trying to organize this topic, but obviously it spans many different dimensions and levels and concepts. But so other people, while it might seem out of control, it's also in our control because we can control how we react to everybody else. Of course, there's trauma, there's death, there's illness, and these things will definitely make us biochemically react in a state of fear. And that is the thing, is that fear blocks happiness on a biochemical level. I know I'm saying that a lot, but it's very important to understand that a lot of this is molecular and it's not about money and looks. It's about your biochemical feedback in your own body working properly so that you can naturally just be happy all of the time. Yes, it's difficult to get that perfect state of balance, but the point being is that it's very much achievable. And so when you experience fear, you are blocking all of the channels in your body that allow you to feel happy. So when things like that happen, if someone that you love dies or you break your leg, the natural biochemical response is to pump out adrenaline and fear because you need to be alert, you need to be focused, and you need to pay full attention to what is happening for your own survival and your own safety. And in that circumstance, your happiness is overridden for a little bit. But if you can remember, once all of the pain molecules are gone, that you are allowed to return to a state of happiness, that you can choose to do that, it's very important. And there are so many studies out there that show that the state of mind that you're in can drastically change your prognosis. You'll understand that most of these things are trying to teach us how to be happy. And it never seems like that in the moment. When you lose your job or, your friend's car breaks down and you end up driving them everywhere, there's always a greater lesson behind all of it. And the best thing to do is just smile and accept it and say, thank you. I know that this is going to make me happy. And I can't make this video and say that I do this all the time because of course I don't. But now while I'm in this state and I feel it pulsing through me, I really want to channel it through so that I can remember what it feels like, because I feel like myself. When I'm happy, I feel like I'm actually authentic. And when I'm sad, I feel like I'm this weird fake shell of a person that's not even real. And I don't want to return back there. Some other elements that affect our biochemistry and therefore our happiness. Certainly genetics. That's definitely a more complicated issue. That gets into the realms of mental illness and such, which is a completely different topic. There are medications that definitely affect that. Food is a big one. I struggle with this. I'm a Cancer, but my relationship to food is a little bit complicated because it has that biochemical feedback. You can eat something and immediately change your brain chemistry, and it's very fascinating. And there are so many of us that are just hooked into that experience where we have some kind of control over our emotions. But you quickly know, I'm sure if you've gone down this path, that the instant gratification is not very long lasting. So what I've found is that when foods make you happy, that make your body happy, and that make your stomach happy, remember that. And when foods only make your brain happy, that's not enough. Of course, if I think about eating 2 sausage egg McMuffins from McDonald's, I'm gonna think, oh yeah, that's gonna make me really happy, you know, and it's gonna taste really good for like 2 seconds. And then I'm gonna feel horrible and depressed and shameful and sick for at least 24 hours, because that's a pretty bad decision in my opinion. Obviously it depends on your situation and your life and your body and your finances and everything. But I'm just saying, for me personally, even though I can think, yeah, that's gonna make me happy, it's not. It's not gonna make my body happy, and it's not gonna make my stomach happy. It's only gonna make my mind happy. And if you're not satisfying the lower things first, your brain isn't even going to be happy. It thinks that it is, but it's not. So it takes a lot of metacognition when it comes to your diet, and everyone's totally different. I'm not telling you what to eat. If eating McDonald's makes your stomach and your body happy, then that's awesome, and it's a completely different situation. I know that I'm not too good with gluten and dairy and processed meat, so those are the reasons that it makes me sick. And as far as drug use, that's an entire different video, and I do want to talk about that. I struggle with an addiction to pot, and it's been about 2 weeks that I've been sober, and I'm starting to feel natural dopamine coursing through my brain, and it feels very nice. But I know what it's like to chase that high and to chase a feeling of being happy, but you never really are. And it will leave you very empty. Without happiness, no, there really isn't a point to life, and you've got to find it. You've got to fight for it. You've got to figure it out somehow, because it's kind of the reason that we exist. It might sound really sappy, but there's this one Beyonce song where they ask her what she thinks the meaning of life is, and she says she just wants to be happy. And as much as I'm not really into pop culture and I have trust issues with that, I've always really resonated with that and remembered that, because I think that there's a lot of truth behind it. Why would we exist to do anything else but express ourselves and be happy and enjoy our lives and be healthy in all of this? And sometimes it's hard to fight for your own happiness. I get that. You have to have a certain amount of self-love and self-awareness to do it. And it's a choice. It's a choice to stand up for yourself and make the decisions that you know are going to make you feel better in the long run. But it's biochemical, which means that it's obtainable and it's realistic and it's already within you. Happiness is not something that is outside of yourself. Happiness is something that is in you, constantly flowing, and the only reason it stops is if you block it. So it's not so much about obtaining it and getting something that's going to make you happy, but removing the things from your life that prevent you from being happy fully. And that's a much simpler way to view it, and it's a much more tangible way to kind of understand how to progress in that way. And that's all very biochemical. Like I said, there are a lot more realms, and a lot of them branch off into other videos. And from a spiritual sense, of course our spirit is tied into the biochemistry. Even if our spirit is a non-physical entity, everything is physical. I don't even know what that means sometimes. We're just very dense. Our molecular components are pressed together and they are held here by certain laws. But our spirit is also subject to laws and rules and sacred geometry and math, and it is still molecular. So it's just a different level of what we're already experiencing. So making the densest part of you happy is going to percolate all the way up. And many people, when they're unhappy, it's very hard for them to connect to spirit, and they feel like that's what's making them sad. But I want to let you know, if you can facilitate a sense of happiness within yourself, that is spirituality. Happiness is spirituality. It is the link between the two things, and it allows allows you to bridge the gap between all soul versions of yourself, all dimensions of yourself, all levels, all of your bodies can be connected by that biochemical sensation of happiness. It can be experienced in every single level. And on a human level, perhaps it's different. And our higher selves might experience it in a completely different way. And that's something that would blow my mind to even think about, let alone channel. So I can make a video about spiritual happiness or the further implications of what all of this means, but I really just wanted to get this out and put it out there while I'm feeling it, because I feel like it's an important message for people to hear. I know so many of us are struggling, and I really hope that this information helps you. If you have any tips on happiness or any kind of scientific understanding, whatever, I would love to hear it. If you want to share it, and give it a thumbs up if this made you smile or you learned something. Thanks.